So we are diving into something incredibly specific for you on this deep dive. I mean, if you are someone who needs to stay ahead of the digital curve, and you are actively trying to figure out how to get your ideas or your business found in a world that is just entirely dominated by AI, we have a really special mission for you today.
We do, yeah. We are unpacking a really dense, highly detailed SEO daily technology report.
Right. And it's pulled from a very precise snapshot in time. We're looking exactly at the date 2026-08-04.
Exactly.
We're going to explore exactly how human beings search for information and, well, how the architecture of the internet has responded on this exact date, 2026-08-04.
It is a totally critical snapshot because our goal here is to guide you through this fundamental industry pivot taking place on 2026-08-04.
Sure.
I mean, we are moving away from traditional search engine optimization like old school SEO and just fully jumping into GEO.
Generative Engine Optimization.
Right, generative engine optimization.
Yeah. And to really grasp the magnitude of this shift, I just keep thinking about, do you remember when calculators first became cheap enough for everyone to bring into a math classroom?
Oh, yeah. The absolute panic.
There was this massive existential panic. People genuinely thought nobody would ever learn to do math again. Like they thought it was just the death of human calculation.
A great calculator crisis. But, looking back on it, the calculator obviously didn't kill math.
Right.
It simply automated the really tedious mechanical parts so we could actually elevate the kind of math we spend our time doing.
Yeah, exactly. We stopped doing long division by hand and we started doing, complex calculus. And bring that up because the entire digital world has been stuck in a very similar panic lately.
Assuming AI is going to just completely replace search engines.
Exactly. But looking at the data from 2026-08-04, that whole death of search narrative, it just seems entirely wrong.
It is completely wrong.
Right.
I mean, the data from the AI SEO statistics section of this report just totally rewrites that narrative. Let's look at the actual numbers on 2026-08-04. Global combined search usage. And by combined, I mean users querying traditional search engines plus users prompting large language models. That is up 26% worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah. And in the US alone, it's up 16%.
Wait, so the pie itself is actually getting bigger.
Yeah.
AI isn't just stealing a slice from Google, the entire pie is expanding.
Precisely. In fact, Google search revenue actually rose 19% year over year in the first quarter of 2026.
You're kidding.
No, their query volume is literally sitting at an all-time high on 2026-08-04.
That is wild. It's like assuming the microwave was going to kill the oven.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Like they aren't competing for the exact same function. We're just cooking different meals in different appliances.
That is a perfect analogy. The data shows that 61% of B2B software buyers on 2026-08-04 are actually using AI search engines alongside Google.
Alongside it, not instead of it.
Exactly. They use Google for their really deep structural research, right? Finding specific websites, reading verified reviews, basically navigating to exact pages, but then they pivot to LLMs for conversational brainstorming and synthesis.
So the search landscape has basically just expanded to accommodate two very different psychological needs.
Exactly.
Okay, but if people are using both, how are they actually talking to these different systems? Because there is a statistic in this report that genuinely, it stopped me in my tracks.
You're looking at the prompt keyword data, aren't you?
I am. The report notes that on 2026-08-04, between 65% and 85% of ChatGPT prompts have absolutely zero matching keywords in traditional search databases.
Zero.
If I'm a content creator and I have spent the last 10 years making sure my blog post says best running shoes exactly 15 times, how on earth do I optimize for a user who isn't even typing those words?
Well, you have just defined the core problem of GEO.
Yeah.
To solve it, we really have to unpack a concept called entity-based optimization.
Okay, let's unpack it.
So in the old world of SEO, algorithms were basically looking for strings, like literal strings of characters.
Right, matching the exact phrase.
Yeah. If a user typed best running shoes, the database just looked for a page with that exact string of letters. But an AI doesn't look for strings, it looks for things. Yeah, it looks for entities. When a user talks to an AI on 2026-08-04, they don't use keywords. They say something like, I'm training for a marathon, I have flat feet, and I need a shoe that won't give me blisters on asphalt, but I have a budget of under $200.
Right, it's an entire narrative. There's no single keyword there.
Exactly. So an entity is a distinct concept, like flat feet or marathon training or asphalt. To optimize for a generative engine, your content actually has to establish the semantic relationships between those concepts.
You have to prove to the AI that you understand how all these entities connect.
Yes. You can't just repeat a popular phrase anymore. You have to provide this really comprehensive, context-rich web of information.
Which means traditional search engines must be feeling immense pressure to adapt. I mean, if users are getting used to these rich conversational paragraphs from AI, they just aren't going to be satisfied with a rigid list of 10 blue links anymore.
They aren't. And that is exactly why Google is actively morphing its structure on 2026-0804.
Right.
The report details this new experimental feature from Google called WebGuide, and it's powered by their Gemini models.
Okay, let's talk about WebGuide, because reading through the report, it sounds like it completely destroys the old architecture of a search results page.
It is a radical departure, for sure. WebGuide essentially replaces that classic vertical list of links with this navigable, topic-grouped knowledge map.
It clusters results by subtopic,
Well,
right?
yes, exactly.
Let me pause you there, because I really want to make sure I fully understand the implication here. For literally 2 decades, the holy grail of digital marketing was position 1.
Oh, absolutely.
You wanted your link at the very top of the page. If Google is now grouping everything by subtopic in this weird web instead of ranked list, does that mean the entire concept of position 1 is officially dead? Are we just hoping to get tossed into a cluster?
The obsession with a single #1 spot is absolutely becoming obsolete on 2026-0804.
Wow.
Think of the old search results page as a ladder. Everyone just fought tooth and nail to be on the top rung. WebGuide turns that ladder into a constellation.
A constellation, I like that.
Your goal is no longer to be the single highest star. Your goal is to be the sun in the center of that specific solar system. You want your content to be so topically complete, so rich in those entities we discussed, that Google includes you in multiple different clusters across that entire knowledge map.
So you have to be the authority on the entire neighborhood,
Yeah.
rather than just, owning the nicest house on the block. But wait, if AI is getting so incredibly good at summarizing these neighborhoods and clustering topics, why would anyone ever click on a link to read a human's opinion? Like, if the AI can write a perfectly structured, entity-dense article on lawnmowers, aren't human writers just obsolete?
That is the logical fear. But
Yeah.
the data on 2026-0804 reveals this massive counter-trend, and it involves Reddit.
Ah, Reddit.
Following the May 2026 core update, Reddit now holds an astonishing 10.24% share of the top 3 organic search positions across Google.
Over 10% of the top 3 spots on the entire internet are going to a single forum platform.
Yes.
That is wild. Why on earth is Google pushing Reddit so aggressively?
Because of the exact fear you just mentioned. When an AI can instantly generate a perfectly sterile, flawless summary of a topic, the value of structural perfection just drops to 0.
Right. It feels robotic.
Exactly. Users instinctively know they might be reading synthetic text, so what do they crave? They crave authentic, messy, human friction.
Do you want to know that a real person actually pushed the lawnmower?
Exactly. An AI can easily tell you the specs of a lawnmower's engine, but a Reddit thread full of angry homeowners debating how that specific engine floods if you leave it on a slope.
You can't fake that?
Right, that contains undeniable human experience. Google's infrastructure on 2026-0804 is heavily prioritizing those human communities to give users basically an antidote to synthetic AI summaries.
Okay, so the game plan for a creator on 2026-0804 is actually pretty clear. Build entity-dense content to satisfy the AI clusters, but make absolutely sure it includes raw, authentic human experience to satisfy the user.
That's the formula.
So let's say I do that. I write the perfect piece of content. I publish it. I win, right?
Well, not quite.
Of course not.
Because all of that brilliant optimization doesn't mean a thing if you can't even get onto the playing field. And this brings us to a major crisis detailed in the report regarding indexation bottlenecks.
Right, the plumbing issue. The report mentions that Google's crawl budget is becoming highly selective, and that the page indexing report for July 2026 was delayed by roughly 2 weeks. I am going to need an ELI 5 here, explain like I'm 5. What exactly is a crawl budget, and why is it breaking down?
Okay, let's use a restaurant analogy.
I love food analogies.
Imagine Google is a city health inspector. Their job is to visit every restaurant in the city, check the menu, taste the food, and file a public report so everyone knows it's safe to eat there. If the inspector doesn't file a report on your restaurant, you simply aren't allowed to open your doors. That report is the index.
So if I'm not in the index, I effectively do not exist on Google.
Correct. Now imagine the city suddenly builds 1 million new restaurants overnight.
Oh boy.
Which is exactly what generative AI has done, right? It has flooded the internet with synthetic content. The problem is the health inspector still only works an 8-hour shift. They literally do not have the time or resources to check every new table. That limited time is their crawl budget. So on 2026-08-04, Google is forced to be incredibly picky about which websites it even bothers to inspect.
So I could write the best, most human authentic article in the world, and Google might just never show up to read it because they're too busy reading 1 million AI-generated trash blogs.
Yes. The basic plumbing of the internet is straining under the sheer weight of AI content. That 2-week delay in the indexing report meant creators were flying completely blind for half a month.
If the pipes are broken, how do we fix it? Or I guess, how do we at least know if our specific pipe is clogged?
Well, this is why the report highlights the explosive growth of a tool called Indexly. Because Google's default reporting is lagging so badly, creators are turning to third-party monitors.
How does Indexly work?
Indexly uses Google's own indexing API to send real-time alerts. It tells you exactly what is in the database, what was rejected, and what is stuck in that super frustrating crawled, currently not indexed limbo.
Right.
It ensures your foundational plumbing is actually working before you even start worrying about advanced GEO strategies.
That makes total sense. I mean, you have to know that health inspector actually visited before you print the menus.
Exactly.
But let's assume we survive the crawl budget crisis. The inspector passes us, we are indexed. We still have a massive problem. If position 1 is dead, and my content is just being sucked up into some AI summary or a web guide cluster, how do I even know if people are seeing it? The old scoreboard-like tracking where I rank on a page is totally gone.
The old scoreboard is entirely broken. Tracking organic search positions just doesn't tell you if ChatGPT cited your brand in a private conversation with a user.
Right.
And this introduces the next major segment of the 2026-08-04 report, the rise of GEO tracking tools.
The report highlights a few major players trying to build this new scoreboard. Let's start with Writesonic's GEO Action Center.
Okay, so this represents a monumental shift in how we actually measure visibility.
Yeah.
Writesonic uses multi-LM agents, which are basically specialized AI bots, to go out and query all the major AI engines simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is tracking your brand's citation frequency across ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, and Google's AI overviews, all at the exact same time.
So instead of just checking Google, it's basically interrogating 5 different AI brains to see if they're talking about my brand.
Yes, and it actually analyzes how different LLMs ingest data, offering structural recommendations based on their distinct architectures.
That is powerful. But the report notes Writesonic's professional plan is $249 a month, which, is pretty steep for a smaller creator. It also brings up SE ranking as the more affordable entry point. How does a tool like SE ranking tackle this tracking problem?
Well, SE ranking approaches it by essentially building a bridge between the old world and the new world. It's only $55 a month, and they have an AI overview tracking feature that monitors how often specific prompts trigger an AI response and whether your content is cited.
Okay.
But critically, they correlate that AI citation data with traditional keyword ranking.
Wait, why is that correlation important? If keywords are dead, why compare them?
Because human behavior is still hybrid on 2026-08-04. Remember the statistics we discussed earlier?
Well, right, using Google and AI together.
Exactly. Users are utilizing both in tandem. So SE ranking allows a marketing team to see if a drop in traditional Google traffic is actually being offset by an increase in AI citations. It contextualizes the entire shift for you.
Okay, so Writesonic and SE ranking are basically third-party tools trying to scrape this data together from the outside.
Yeah.
But there is a section in the report about Bing that feels completely different. Microsoft has rolled out this AI performance report in Bing Webmaster Tools, and they are openly featuring a metric called citation share.
Yes.
Why is Microsoft just handing this data over directly when Google's AI overviews are basically a locked black box?
It is a brilliant piece of corporate strategy on 2026-08-04. Microsoft is weaponizing transparency.
Weaponizing transparency. Okay, you have to walk me through that.
Well, Google holds the dominant market share, right?
Yeah.
They have the luxury of keeping their AI systems opaque. They don't feel compelled to show creators exactly how their data is being used. Bing, on the other hand, is the challenger. By offering the citation share metric, which literally tells a creator the exact percentage of AI-generated responses that included their domain as a source, Bing is giving the SEO industry the exact scoreboard they are completely desperate for.
So they're basically bribing creators with data.
In a way, yeah. If you give a marketer a metric, they will obsess over it and they will optimize for it. By providing clear visibility data, Bing is incentivizing content teams to structure their data specifically for Bing's ecosystem first. It just builds immense goodwill with the publishers who actually supply the internet with information.
That is fascinating. But it brings us to a very human bottleneck in all of this. I can look at my citation share on Bing all day long. I can use Writesonic to track my presence on ChatGPT. But eventually, a real human being has to sit down and write the high-quality, authentic content that we established users are desperately craving.
Yes, they do.
How do you train a human writer to hit all those complex entities we talked about without making them sound like a robot?
That is the ultimate paradox of content creation on 2026-08-04. And it's exactly why enterprise teams are heavily relying on tools like Clearscope.
Let's talk about Clearscope. The report categorizes it as a premium tool, about $350 a month. But what struck me is its focus. Unlike the thousands of tools promising to just generate AI blog posts for you, Clearscope is an AI tool designed entirely to optimize human-written content.
Right. Think of it as a real-time defense system against the whole bulk AI generation machine. Clearscope doesn't write the article for you.
Good.
Instead, it acts like an incredibly advanced editor. As a human types, Clearscope analyzes the text against the current search landscape and calculates a content grade.
I have to push back here for a second because this sounds completely counterintuitive. We just spent 10 minutes talking about how Reddit is dominating because users want messy, authentic human experiences. How does a piece of software grade my human authenticity?
Well, it doesn't grade your emotion, it grades your structural completeness. Let's go back to the marathon show example.
Okay.
If you write this beautiful, impassioned, highly authentic story about running a marathon, but you completely fail to mention pronation or blister prevention or heel drop, the AI engine scanning your article just assumes you aren't actually an authority on the subject.
Because a true expert would just naturally weave those related concepts into the story without even thinking about it.
Exactly. Clearscope measures entity density. It ensures that when a human takes the time to write something deeply personal and authentic, it also contains the necessary semantic web of concepts required for a generative engine to recognize it, categorize it, and eventually cite it.
It translates human poetry into a structure a robot can value.
That's a great way to say it.
I love that. But here is the ultimate problem for anyone listening to this deep dive who works at a company. Let's say you use Clearscope to write a beautiful, entity-dense article. You use Indexly to make sure the health inspector actually read it. You check Bing and Writesonic, and hey, you have a 40% citation share. AI engines are quoting you left and right.
Sounds like a very successful campaign.
Yes, it does. Until your boss walks in and says, hey, citation share doesn't pay the rent. Did this actually make us any money?
Right.
If users are getting their answers directly from the AI summary and never actually clicking through to our website, how do we prove the return on investment?
You have just isolated the huge attribution crisis of 2026-08-04.
It's a nightmare.
It is. Traditional analytics rely entirely on a user clicking a link, landing on your site, and buying something. If the click disappears, the revenue attribution completely breaks. This is the specific problem a platform like Whatograph is attempting to solve.
How does Whatograph actually bridge that gap?
Well, Whatograph is an AI-powered reporting layers. It pulls raw data from everywhere, traditional SEO tools like Google Search Console, business metrics from Google Analytics, and the new visibility metrics from these AI tracking tools.
It scrubs everything.
Yeah, it ingests all of it and uses its own AI layer to spot correlations. It can actually generate narrative summaries that explicitly connect, say, a spike in your AI citation share with a downstream increase in brand search volume or direct lead generation.
So it does the analytical heavy lifting to prove to leadership that being cited by ChatGPT actually results in real-world revenue, even if the direct click path is obscured.
Exactly. It reduces hours of complex data modeling into a unified, actionable narrative.
Okay, so if I'm an agency, Whatograph sounds like the final boss. I just plug everything into their dashboard and I'm totally done. But the report concludes with a very different kind of platform. Data for SEO.
Yes, and Data for SEO represents the true maturity of the technical SEO industry on 2026-08-04.
The report says they don't even offer a dashboard. They are an API-first platform. I'm going to need another ELI 5 here. What does it mean to be an API-first platform, and why would anyone want raw data over a beautifully designed dashboard like Whatograph?
Okay, let's go back to the restaurant.
Yes, please.
Using a dashboard tool is like sitting in the dining room and ordering off a set menu. The chef decides how the food is plated and presented to you. It's really convenient, but you are completely limited to what they offer.
Okay, so the dashboard vendor decides exactly how I look at my data.
Right. An API, which is an application programming interface, is like having a direct doorway into the kitchen's pantry. You bypass the dining room completely. Data for SEO provides endpoints, which are essentially direct requests for raw ingredients.
Oh, interesting.
You can ask for raw search volume, raw SRP analysis, or raw AI visibility metrics. They hand you the ingredients, and you build your own dashboard.
Why would a team want to cook their own data meals, though? That sounds like a lot of work.
Because on 2026-08-04, the landscape is shifting at breakneck speed. If Google radically alters WebGuide tomorrow, or a massive new LLM drops, dashboard users have to wait weeks or even months for their software vendor to update the interface. They are totally stuck on the vendor's timeline.
But if I have the API, I just rewrite my own internal software the very same day.
Precisely. Advanced enterprise teams and agencies want to control their own proprietary tech stacks. They want the raw data so they can pivot instantly. The popularity of data for SEO proves that the smartest players in the industry are treating raw search data as critical infrastructure, not just another software subscription.
Man, what an incredible journey through this 2026-08-04 snapshot. Let's just take a breath and synthesize this for you listening, because there is so much to walk away with here. First, the myth is completely busted. AI didn't kill search, it expanded it. People are using Google for deep research and AI for conversational brainstorming.
Yep. And because of that, traditional SEO is morphing into geo-generative engine optimization. The focus has entirely shifted from repeating literal keywords to building comprehensive webs of related entities.
Right. And Google is adapting with cluster-based models like WebGuide, which effectively kills the old concept of position one. But simultaneously, they are heavily rewarding authentic human spaces like Reddit, because users are just desperate for real experiences to cut through the synthetic AI noise.
We also covered the severe infrastructure strain this is causing, highlighting the need for tools like Indexly to monitor those crawl budgets and ensure your pages are actually making it into Google's database in the first place.
And once you're in the database, the scoreboard looks completely different. We are tracking multi-engine citations with Writesonic and SE ranking and leveraging Bing's transparent citation share metrics. But the foundation of all of this remains high-quality human writing, structured by tools like Clearscope and correlated to real revenue by platforms like Whatagraph, or custom API builds using data for SEO.
The underlying theme of 2026-08-04 is that the foundational rules of quality haven't actually changed. The delivery mechanisms and the tracking metrics have entirely transformed, sure, but without human insight, the AI has literally nothing valuable to summarize.
Which brings us to a final, slightly uncomfortable thought. Just something for you to ponder long after this deep dive wraps up. We started with the calculator analogy, right? Calculators automated the mechanical work so humans could focus on complex ideas. But language isn't math. Language has personality, it has humor, it has pacing, it has a totally distinct aesthetic.
It has a unique brand voice.
Exactly. So here's the question we leave you with. If we spend all our time, all our budget, and all our API requests meticulously optimizing our content just so an AI engine will cite it, what happens to that voice?
It's a huge question. If a user asks a query on 2026-08-04 and an LLM reads your beautifully crafted, perfectly authentic article, but then just spits out a sterile, bulleted summary to the user got the information, but they didn't get you.
Right. If they never actually click through to your website, everything that makes your brand unique is just stripped away in the AI's translation. How do you build brand loyalty or a true community when a robot is doing all the talking for you? Are we optimizing ourselves into invisibility?
It really is the ultimate paradox of this new era.
It is something critical to chew on as you navigate this changing landscape. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the realities of 2026-08-04. Keep interrogating the data, hold on to that human element, and we'll see you out there.